we have a rich, deep heritage within the Protestant evangelical movement of thinking about political theology and how to engage in the public square and the role of governments, the role of Christian citizens. And
good morning and welcome back to the Chinook. I was going to say good morning Vietnam, but that movie would date me a little bit.
That certainly would.
So welcome here.
But you're dated, so
I'm getting old now. It's crazy.
Yes.
They could almost carbon date me. That's how old. But I joke. There are older people that listen. Speaking of age, it is bright and early in the morning here, but we don't know what time it is where you are, so the Lord bless you. Anyway, episode over. That's also a joke. So, Pastor Nathan, do you have a book recommend?
Yes, I do. I am going to recommend a book called Reset by David Murray. The tagline is Living a Grace-Paced Life in a Burnout Culture. So this is so David Murray, I think he's a professor at Puritan Reformed Theological Seminary.
Okay.
And he writes a book for pastors who seem to be burning out.
So that's every pastor.
Yeah, pretty much every pastor is dealing with some form of that these days for some reason. Yeah. And so he goes through a bit of a theology of rest, which I think is good, and he does a good job with that. Mm-hmm. And then he gives like a lot of practical solutions, which we all know, but we don't
like, go to sleep.
Go to sleep. Don't stay up on your phone till 11 or 11:30 or stuff like that. So anyway, I do think it's actually a very helpful book for pastors, but for
you said it's from
well.
Puritan Reformed Theological Seminary?
Yes.
Who are those people?
They're the guys connected with Joel Beakey.
So okay. Joel Beakey, I know that name.
Joel Beakey's former NRC, now Heritage Reformed, so a bit more gospel-centered Netherlands Reformed now.
Oh, no kidding. So, okay, all right.
Excellent.
I remember the use of that word in a completely different way. Because the Puritan Reformed Church in Edmonton, those were the suppliers of books for me like 35 years ago.
So Puritan Reformed can mean different things in Alberta.
Yeah, I think so.
We'll say this is a very good sense.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, a good book is a good book.
A good book is a good book.
Right, yeah. So Jamie, what do you have?
I have The Treasury of Psalms and Hymns. This is a book, as you can see. It's a big got covers, and it's full of songs. This is a fantastic hymnal. It came out in 2022. Noteworthy Music Services put this out. There are 1,100, and I'm just flipping to the back page, 1,130 some songs in here. Wow. 480 selections on the Psalms. Approximately 600 hymns and a whole bunch of service music. I really like this book. I especially liked it when I got to the hymn section because I grew up in the evangelical world singing out of a hymn book, and boy, were there a lot of the good ones in here. Mm-hmm. It was really, really good that way. So anyways, let me commend to you The Treasury of Psalms and Hymns by Noteworthy Music.
Excellent. Well, now our next book recommend is from our in-studio guest, Jay Hildebrand.
We get an in-studio guest.
We
get that up here in Grand Morgan.
Yeah, we're basically at the end of the earth, so you had to come to the very edge and not fall off, and then here you are.
Here we are.
So, Jay, what's your book recommend?
My book recommend for this morning is Prairie Lion, The Life and Times of Ted Byfield. For more than half a century, Ted Byfield was one of Canada's most significant public Christians. He started the Alberta Report, as well as some schools. He was originally from out east, and so this book, captures his upbringing in Ontario, and then his move out west and his involvement. And especially for today's day and age, if you've forgotten or if you never knew what Canada was like not that long ago, you'll be shocked to even hear the state of things out in eastern Canada, and then how much things have fallen even in the west. And so I commend it to you. He started a Christian boarding school for boys, a series of influential news magazines, and laid the groundwork for the political movement for the Reform Party when that was starting up. And he was a staunch advocate for social conservative values even in the face of losing sponsorships and funding for a lot of his works. And so, commend it to you. It's an incredible work. We need to be more acquainted with our history here in Alberta and Canada.
Ted Byfield.
So, coming from out east, that's Toronto.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, Toronto's not out east. That's
Yeah.
Hey, in Alberta, that is pretty far east.
Yeah, I know.
You know, if you were to draw,
Fair enough, fair enough.
if you were to draw a line from Grand Prairie to Toronto and then measure it and then superimpose that on Europe, that's way east. I mean, that's the
Or
difference.
even if you add like the remainder, it's like still.
It's still way out.
It's still out east.
Once you get past Manitoba,
It's east.
you're
Yeah.
gone.
East, yeah.
Talk about edge of the world.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
I've driven through northern Ontario, and that was a
That's a long drive.
that's something that a man should do for Lent.
Ah.
That's how bad it is. But anyway, I jest. We have Ontario listeners. It's okay.
It is beautiful.
We love you. It is beautiful.
Yeah, it's got a beauty of its own.
It does.
It does.
It does. But yeah, it's more like a penitential beauty. Causing trouble. Oh, yes. Okay. So my book recommend. I this last year reread Justin Martyr's dialogue with Trypho the Jew. Now, this is an interesting work for a multitude of reasons. First off, Justin Martyr is a very early Christian. He's one of the church fathers. He quotes extensively from the book of Isaiah to prove that Jesus is the Messiah. If you ever want to have a good rundown of all the parts of Isaiah that talk about Jesus, which is all of Isaiah, Justin Martyr is a good place to go. But one of the most interesting things I find about that whole book is the tone of the work and the timing of the work. So Justin Martyr wrote this. It's a dialogue, so it's written in the same style as Plato's dialogue. So he's taken real people, created a fictional conversation. He wrote this shortly after a very intense persecution of the church by the Jews that the Emperor Hadrian solved in the Second Great Jewish Revolt. Right, it was a bad deal. There was a lot of what we would call genocides happening in places like Cyprus, in modern day Egypt and North Africa, and in Syria and Palestine. So there was a lot of what we would call genocides happening, where a lot of Christians were martyred, and Justin Martyr himself was later martyred. That's how he got his last name. It wasn't his given name.
Right.
Justin was. So but he wrote this as an attempt to evangelize a people group who had just finished, in his own lifetime, murdering his friends and family. And it's really remarkable. I think it is a very gracious way to respond to people who just tried to kill you. And so there's something there, I think, not just in the words of the book, but in the time of the book.
Yeah, that's interesting. There's necessary connection, isn't there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's routinely calling his audience, his reader, back to Christ.
Right.
And yeah. But yeah, if you want to see somebody quote from the book of Isaiah with a great deal of joy, that's it. So, shall we?
Yeah.
Yeah,
proceed.
Let's grill our friend here.
let's ask. So we have our special guest on today, which is who is Jay Hildebrand, and he is the manager at Alberta Reformer.
Executive director.
Executive director. Okay.
That sounds
Well,
even better.
maybe start telling us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll bombard you about Alberta Reformer.
Sounds good. So yeah, my name is Jay Hildebrand. I grew up in Rocky Mountain House, Alberta, and then been in Calgary now for the last about 11 years, I think, 10 or 11 years. And so originally I moved to the city to study business in Mount Royal and joined a local church plant. And so I was there, but then after my first year, I was feeling convicted and other people speaking in my life that I should be getting equipped to equip the saints. So doing some seminary studies. And I knew I was not going to be able to study business all day while also studying seminary on the side. And so I dropped out of Mount Royal. I went and applied to a bunch of electrical companies. And so I pursued my ticket as an electrician. And then my joke is always I began studying on the side, but the main thing I was studying on the side was how to start studying on the side. And eventually I was starting to catch on. So about 3 years ago, I quit full-time electrical. I was a lay pastor at First Baptist Church in Calgary, Alberta. And so dove in there. Rewinding a bit, when I started my apprenticeship, I also started dating a beautiful and incredible young woman, Rebecca, now Hildebrand. And
Good job.
we've been married now for 8.5 years, and we have a 5th child on the way.
Awesome.
And so we've been really grateful for how the Lord has blessed us, and there's a lot of joy in our household. And we're grateful to be up here in Grand Prairie. And then now I'm a member at Covenant Presbyterian in Cochrane, Alberta.
Okay.
So
That's a sister church of ours.
yep, part of Boniface Presbytery
Yes.
and Knox Presbytery.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Excellent.
So, question for you: What was the catalyst? Because the Alberta Reformer, for those of you who don't know, there is a news magazine that Jay is running on the internet. You can read some great articles and essays on there, including some published by Pastor Nathan. Just saying. But what was the idea? What was the catalyst? What was the I need to do that led you to Alberta Reformer and that? And what exactly is the Alberta Reformer?
Yeah, and that'll help bring clarity even to that question. So initially, my brother-in-law, Josh Seneker, he was involved in politics for about the last 10 years. That sounds grand at the beginning. He was a 14-year-old door knocking for campaigns. And what got him involved in politics was looking around and seeing that we are the only developed nation with absolutely zero laws on abortion, protecting the unborn. And he was reading the biography of William Wilberforce and the abolition of the slave trade. And he's like, abortion needs to end in my lifetime. Like, we need a law in Canada. And so he started getting involved. And he knew politics wasn't the be-all, end-all as far as like cultural reform in our society. But it was an important field that Christians were not as engaged in as they should be. And he was often frustrated because you're trying to get Christians involved and we were very disengaged kind of across the evangelical world. Then you fast forward to, I don't know if you guys heard about this thing that happened a few years ago, it was, the COVID-19 pandemic.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
We did hear rumors of. We did.
Yeah, I think you talked about it on your podcast. I can't say for sure, but and
Somebody wrote a book about it.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. So politics kind of entered everyone's living room with a mask on,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden Christians now want to be very involved in politics. But he also heard good faith, genuine, well-intentioned Christians taking arguments, when it comes to say like vaccine mandates, and saying things like "my body, my choice," "my body, my choice," which is kind of like the ring of the left when it comes to pro-choice, the pro-choice. Right. And so he's like, wow, we really need to help kind of like disciple and help Christians think through biblically how they get involved, and not just on some of those slogan things, but also we have a rich, deep heritage within the Protestant evangelical movement of thinking about political theology and how to engage in the public square and the role of governments, the role of Christian citizens, and even with diverse perspectives, there's a rich well to draw from. And so he started talking about that with myself and then with another pastor in Calgary, Clint Humphrey, Calvary Baptist Church, Calvary Grace Church, which is a Baptist church in Calgary. And then Clint and I got talking, and me and Clint, we saw the need not just politically, but across the board, that we need reform, not just in politics, but also just culture as a whole, faith and work, marriage, family, and the home, church. And so we saw a need there, but we didn't want to just start something like just a news magazine. We want to start something that was cultivating Christian thought, but also cultivating Christian action. And so that's kind of where like our niche is a catalyst for public Christianity. That's what we're seeking to do. We're seeking to cultivate Christian thought and action across Alberta. And so the thought piece is we have an online journal, which Nathan and Brad have written for. That's publishing articles on every area of life. But then the action piece is where we're calling our drifting institutions, so like Christian schools, churches, denominations, school boards, municipal governments, away from the clutches of progressivism and back within their foundational purpose in God's design. And so what that looks like is, before Alberta Reform even started, a couple parents at the Edmonton Society for Christian Education, so the Christian schools in Edmonton, they were starting to have LGBTQ teachings and influences in some of the schools. And so they reached out to Josh and his colleague and said, hey, can you help us win our board back? And so they were able to get to work and take some of the skills that they learned, in the political realm and apply it to mobilize Bible-believing faithful Christians in the broader church community to get involved and actually see Bible-believing Christians elected to the board of the Edmonton Christian schools.
Which
And-
it's a weird thing to think we got to get Christians back on the school board of a Christian school.
It's a very natural thing to think, so natural that you almost wouldn't think it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did what?
Yeah. And so it ended up having to go to court that first year, but then by God's grace, 8 out of the 9 board members were Bible-believing Christians. And then this last year, an Alberta Reformer had the privilege of helping in 2025, along with some other organizations and partners. And then also the moms that originally reached out, they learned a lot that first year, and they were able to carry that torch and really push, and they did tremendous work. And now all 9 board members of the Edmonton Society for Christian Education are Bible-believing evangelical Christians.
Wow.
Thanks be to God. And so we want
that's
to
fantastic.
multiply that kind of thing across Alberta in whatever way we can, and with all the different partnerships we have as well, and seek the reform of this community. And so that's kind of what we're about. We cultivate Christian thought, drive institutional reform, and then mobilize Christians to seek the common good of the communities God's placed them in.
Beautiful.
So now, Alberta Student, is that an offshoot of Alberta Reformer, the same thing? Like, what's going on with Alberta Students?
Yeah, great question. And so something that kind of dovetails with everything that we're doing is looking towards the next generation and looking on our campuses. And our campuses have become an echo chamber, as many know. And so then we are currently rolling out Reformer Students, and the vision there is raising a banner for truth on campus. And so you'll see it's like Reformer Students, Alberta Reformer Students. It's just a kind of the campus outreach arm of Alberta Reformer. And so we had our student summits back in February. We have just over 100 students between Edmonton and Calgary, and they're tired with the status quo. They want to see a more public presence of Christianity. Depending on the campus, there are good Christians doing work on campus. But our focus, we're not going to be starting like a Bible study. Our focus is public theology and cultural reform, and that kind of very public presence on campus. And so, yeah, trying to shine a light in a dark place.
Excellent. That is a dark place. I've read some of what they write. Terrible.
Yep.
Things that come out of the Canadian universities. It's interesting to me that universities, in many ways, are drivers of culture. And it's not just because you're trained, your upper level of trained professional comes from these schools, but it's also that your upper level of political leader, very often your upper churchman. Some of these schools have seminaries attached, even, or traditionally have. So that your culture makers are all coming from a place that's been captured by the left.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, yeah, to take that back, we got to out Gramsci.
Yeah, that was a good quote from this weekend.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. That's exactly the long march through the institutions needs to be followed by a long, and maybe by God's grace less long, march through the institutions.
Yeah. Slowly, one board at a time.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. So that's the whole vision is not just the Christian thought piece, but then how do we take that and translate into actual tangible action, strategic, practical that makes a difference in our communities.
Nice. So when you get a let's say I'm somebody in a college somewhere in Alberta, and I hear you say that, and I'm like, hey, that sounds like a good idea. How do I get a hold of you? What are the steps that a guy would take, a young 19-year-old?
Yeah, awesome. So basically go on albertareformer.ca/students, and you can sign up there, and we'll also send you a link for like a survey we'd love for you to fill out. And then we can connect you. If you're on a campus we're already involved in, then awesome. Otherwise, we might have a few students on your campus that have already reached out, and so we can connect you guys. And obviously, we have limited capacity on the front end, and so we're focusing in at the University of Calgary and the University of Alberta. But then as we move through this, we're going to be growing. We already have some students at Olds College, and at Concordia, McEwen, and Edmonton, and Mount Royal in Calgary, and so
Nice.
we're excited to see. I think we have 120 students now signed up, and we're just getting
Wow.
started. But
Oh, that's
That's
awesome.
good.
yeah, so the kind of format that takes is we have kind of like the engagement tables, and so kind of following like what like Charlie Kirk was doing in the States, that kind of thing, where we have the like change my mind or prove me wrong statement. And so like this spring we're using human rights require God. And
Prove me wrong.
Yeah, engaging the students that way. But then even like sometimes on campus, our banner says raising a banner for truth on campus. And so then we get students that run up to us and like, oh, truth and reconciliation, like we're here for it. They're all excited. and then I respond, I say, oh, we're all about truth and reconciliation. Probably not exactly what you're thinking though.
Yeah, we're talking about between God and man.
Yeah. But then we had great conversations about like, what's the basis and nature of human rights, and the one gal that came up, like she was as white as I am, and so I asked her like, what's the basis for human rights, and she said, I don't know. I never really thought about this. Maybe ethics? And I said, well, what's the basis for your ethics? Like, where is this coming from? And then she's like, just kind of grasping, trying to think of something. And I said, I think like truth and reconciliation, on what basis can we say that our forefathers, did anything wrong to, First Nations people?
Yep.
And she just pauses for a second. And she says, I have no idea. There's just no basis for it.
She's honest.
Yeah, and so there's just a lot of sloganeering that happens on campus, and as Christians we can also get taught up in sloganeering. Like we don't know why we believe what we believe, but just having these conversations is already like putting pebbles in shoes, kind of like Greg Tokel's tactics method. And we had our first. So then that's the engagement tables, but then we want to do student workshops where we're training Christian students on campus, and so we had our first one in Edmonton this last Tuesday evening. Dr. Ted Fensty was teaching on tactics for apologetics, how to defend the truth in the public square. So we had about 33 students in Edmonton.
That's excellent.
And we've had Ted Fensky on the podcast.
Yeah. That's excellent. He's a great man, godly man. Yeah, him and his wife Tanya, incredible people. And so so that was exciting, and we're hoping to have another one in Calgary near the end of the month here, Lord willing. And then the third piece, well, kind of on that training piece is we're also forming like a Reformer fellowship. So we're kind of keeping our eye out. It's going to be like an application-based, kind of raise up and give a robust theological education for these guys that are called to lead in the public square. But then we want to have debate-style events is the goal. And so we're hoping to do one at least, in fall semester. Maybe one per city, Edmonton and Calgary, or at least one though for sure. And partner with maybe one of the Muslim students on campus, one of the Muslim groups on campus. There's a lot of them. And do say like a debate between say Christianity, maybe bring in like Tim Stevens or like a preacher or pastor, or an apologist, and then an imam, and maybe have a debate. What's better for Alberta, Islam or Christianity? It's not something like that. We have nothing's finalized there, but we want to try to show that we can have this debate, because research that came out from the Aristotle Foundation last fall highlights that 80% of students are reluctant to even just have conversations on controversial topics.
Oh yeah,
which is wild.
It's wild. And then 46% of those who identify as Christian are reluctant to speak up on any controversial topics pertaining to their faith. And it's roughly the same percentage, might be 49, of those who identify as more conservative politically are reluctant to share their perspective. And the only group that was like zero reluctance to share their perspective, it was like 0.4% of all students. And that was those that are like full on identified in like the LGBTQ movement, and they're
the only folk around that got freedom to speak.
Yeah. So that long march through the institutions has successfully switched the whole, oppressed and oppressor.
Has successfully destroyed education, in other words.
Yep.
Well, that's it's funny that you talk about sloganeering, because I remember when I was just starting to be exposed to more like a higher level of Christian thought. I was listening to Greg Bonson's a history of philosophy lectures. I think they're from 1982 or 3. And he delivered them at RTS. And he was discussing Immanuel Kant and continental idealism. And one of the things that he said that stuck with me was that if you try to read these guys, it's going to be difficult because there's a lot of technical jargon. And he said, jargon does a couple of things. If used properly, it's a shortcut to make your conversation shorter. If used improperly, the man speaking or writing is either masking his ignorance or trying to convince you of yours. And I was like, ooh. I like this. And so beware of the slogan. I do enjoy asking people, well, what do you mean by that word? Whatever word it was that they used. What do you mean?
Yep.
And then,
Yeah.
Clarifying questions.
Sometimes you get,
Yeah.
and sometimes you get an answer.
But then the worst one, then usually there you'll get some clarity.
Yeah.
But then how did you come to that conclusion?
Right. Push
Yeah.
push down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go right to the bottom, to the presupposition. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I do enjoy that. That's another thing too that a guy like Bonson is really good at. Mm-hmm. Let's go straight to the foundational presupposition.
Yeah. And then once we've analyzed yours and walk away a little bit discouraged, then sure.
Yeah. Well, the triune God as the basis of all knowledge, much better. Excellent. So with these public debates, do you have any scheduled, or are you
No.
just trying? You're just in
None
the works?
scheduled yet.
Okay.
Yeah, on that vein.
It's an
Excellent.
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent.
Though we have already been talking to some like the Muslim clubs, and they're excited about the idea.
Right.
So Muslims are open to debate,
They do
They
learn.
are.
and part
Yes.
of our goal is to get Christians more open.
Yeah, so this is something that I've done is I've just walked into a mosque and said, "Hey, you guys want to sit down and have a dialogue about our differences? Not like the soft, squishy dialogue, but the actual what are our real differences?" And they're more than open to it. So they'll just sit in a circle with you and
talk.
just go back and forth,
Yep.
bad ideas around.
Yeah, I've had that at
It's
work
fun.
too,
Yep.
where we're doing some pump maintenance or something at 2 a.m, and Muslim coworker hops up on the piece of equipment. So I have a question for you, and he's like, "What's that?" Okay, and then I just something. Mm-hmm. Like I remember the one guy asked him, "How is it?" So yeah, like did your God create everything? Yeah, he did. Okay. So, but there's only one of them. And he's like, yeah, there's only one. Okay, so he created everything and there's only one of them. Yeah, okay. So how do we have multiples? Like, how do you account for number? More than one. And he's like, well, what do you mean? I said, well, there's 2 of us. How's that possible? Well, I don't know. I was like, okay. So we had this conversation about how do things exist that are outside of the experience of your God.
That's deep conversation.
Yeah.
Right to the point of it.
And this was in the oil field. But his final response was, I don't know, I'll talk to my imam. He never talked to his imam. Because he hasn't got back to me. I'm still waiting. Yeah. I won't name the guy, but I know who I got to press him further.
I'll follow up on that.
Yeah.
So what are some names here in Alberta who have written for or gotten involved with Alberta Reformer?
Yeah, so we have about 20 different contributors that wrote articles in 2025, from way up here in Grand Prairie, even High Prairie. Our friend Kaylin Workington, a farmer in High Prairie, Alberta, he wrote. Actually, he wrote our most popular article. One of our most initially popular articles was the Plowboy, playing off of how even the plowboy needed to be able to read the Bible in his own languages, and then how does the plowboy then apply that, and how do we steward our citizenship? Making the argument that our citizenship is kind of a gift, a talent, if you will, that the Lord has given us. So kind of regardless of your political theology, a good argument there for why we should get involved and steward that for the good of our neighbor.
Yeah, good.
And then
I know that fellow.
Yeah, I know you guys do. He's a good man. And then he wrote also an article in fall. So you want to be like Charlie after Charlie Kirk was killed, and just pointing to the one that Charlie Kirk was pointing to, as he sought to be a faithful husband and father and leader of the movement he was a part of, and that is Jesus Christ. And so that was our most popular article last year, as you could probably imagine.
Yeah, that was a good essay.
And so and then so our guys, myself, Josh Seneker, Clint Humphrey, Tim Stevens, Dr. Michael Wagner, Cameron Wilson from the Lower Force Project, Jeff Park down in Lethbridge. I'm going to miss others. Pete DeYoung wrote a good article on the addiction crisis in our cities.
I think even my brother wrote for you guys.
Yes, Daniel Zeichfeld wrote on kind of gambling policy in Alberta, the online sports betting.
Yeah.
Alberta's rejected safe supply when it comes to hard drugs, but we're embracing it when it comes to online sports betting. And
online sports betting is a bigger thing than I thought.
Oh, it's huge.
it's huge.
Like I don't have enough money to gamble with.
Yeah,
but
Neither do they. Most of them.
People are losing their entire livelihoods on that kind of stuff.
I know. Yeah.
It's wild.
Because I saw that headline, and then I did a little bit of digging around, and I was reading something else as well as that, and I was kind of surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually listen to a psychologist podcast, and a lot of the people who come on there are talking about that kind of stuff, like online sports betting. And I've been lying to my wife for like 2 or 3 years, and now
Is this a confession? Like,
no,
the
this
guy's
is
on
not
there,
my
yeah.
confession.
Yeah.
Oh, he's repeating somebody else's confession.
This is on the.
Do we
on
need to call the elders?
This is on the psychologist podcast.
Yeah.
John Deloney. He's connected to the Dave Ramsey Network. Anyway.
Yeah, well, yeah, and Dave Ramsey was talking about this back in January, so I actually reposted
Okay.
Daniel's article on that, and then I kind of did like a whole thread. I like dove in because one of the things that Daniel highlights in there is that the difference between the Alberta government's approach with like other vices, like drugs and tobacco and alcohol, is there's like taxation on it, so the government does receive revenue from people engaging in these vices, but then there's strict laws around advertising. Like you can't have a alcoholic beverage advertisement on TV where the person's actually like drinking from the can, even, and then also like tobacco products are laden with warnings about health risks of dispensing with all moderation when it comes to smoking tobacco, and yet with the sports betting it's the complete opposite. You actually have the province of Alberta through Play Alberta actually advertising the services, and those of you who are Oilers fans, you'll actually see on their jerseys, right? You see Play Alberta on there, and so it's pushed, and you can't watch live broadcasts of sports
without seeing those ads.
Right? And so now the Alberta government is actually promoting this vice that then they are benefiting from, and something you've all heard, right? In gambling, is the house always wins. And when we go into this territory, well, then now our provincial government, whose duty is to actually like protect its citizens and punish those who do evil, reward those who do good, they're now actually they become the house that always wins. And so,
yeah, that's the thing
Great
about
article.
gambling and governments.
The governments make money off of it.
Well, it's the purpose of the government.
Yeah.
Like the purpose of the government is to be, the minister of God's wrath, protection against evil, the punishment of evildoers, and here they are, promoting vice so that they can make money.
yeah. So, great article by Daniel. Also, he outdid his older brother for the most footnotes in one of our articles. I think I texted Nathan.
Yeah, that's right.
A little bit of brotherly competition there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So we got
my next one will have to have more.
You should just write the next one in the footnotes.
Yeah, there we go.
When I was in Bible school, we had one professor. He said for this paper, there's a word limit. And then so we all handed in our papers. And then for the next paper, he said, I am going to include footnotes in the word limit because one of you, and he looked over at one of my classmates, made his entire argument in the footnotes.
That's excellent. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So yeah, we wrote about like reforming the family. So kind of family is society's foundational building block, and Alberta needs homes that worship Christ. And then political.
You've had a lot in family worship, I think.
Yeah. That was I think with Sean Martins, he's pastor. Brother I formerly was pastoring with him at First Baptist in Calgary, and he wrote like an 8-part series on family worship, starting with kind of the biblical roots, the historical roots for it, and then some really helpful practical things, and even addressing some of the challenges people face. So commend that to you. And then also the roles of manhood and womanhood, political and economic engagement, confronting cultural crises like MAID and the addictions crisis and abortion, navigating the digital age. So even thinking through like Nathan's article on AI and some of this transhumanism that we're just going to see more of. Also safe supply policies like we just talked about, and then also even our digital privacy and property rights. And then lastly, faith, work, and heritage. And so looking at Alberta's rich spiritual heritage, Dr. Michael Wagner wrote a really good article on that, showing how evangelical Christianity has shaped Alberta's political conservatism. And yeah, commend that to you as well. And then also recovering in biblical theology for just our daily work, faith and work, and how the gospel transforms our work and restores the original purpose of it. So,
Excellent.
yeah.
Good.
Yeah, no, these are good articles, good essays. When they come across your feed, and they should come across your feed, read them.
Or actually go to the Alberta Reformer website.
Yeah, you can do that too.
And look for them.
I see them on my feed, so on I think it's Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram.
And then
Twitter.
do you guys have a podcast running as well, connected with
Yeah,
Alberta
so we do.
Reformer?
Initially, it was running weekly,
Okay.
but then it's more like every other week right now.
Yeah.
And so that's a mixture of reading our articles, and so for those of you that you like to hear it in audio format, it's another medium. And so we read through an article, and then we want to increase this, but then actually having the author on for an interview to talk about the topic. So last fall, I read Michael Wegener's article on that history of Alberta, and then we had him on. We had a discussion the following week. And then
Nice.
the AI article is coming up sometime here in the next few months. Hoping to have Nathan on then to discuss it
nice.
as well.
Excellent.
But yeah, so that's the Alberta Reformer podcast. You can find it on wherever you find your favorite podcast. Wherever you find this podcast,
Yeah.
you can look for the Alberta Reformer.
It should
podcast.
be in your subscriptions list. We're just saying.
Yeah.
I'll post links in the show notes as
Perfect.
well. So
Yeah, no, that's excellent.
It's something that I've been seeing happening only recently. Is the we're trying to develop the ability for Christians to speak again in public.
Mm-hmm.
That's we've been hidden away for quite a long while by our own understanding of how things are supposed to work. We've bought the lies of keep quiet in the public square
Yeah, the neutrality.
with your faith.
Yeah.
But that seems to be breaking, and I'm really thankful for that. I'm thankful to look and see that really does look like a move of God to me, because the Christian faith is all about persuasion. It's all about
Yeah.
that's what God has given into our hands. When I've just been listening to the audio of Defenders of the West by Raymond Ibrahim, and he catalogs a bunch of different guys who were generals who were holding back Muslim incursion into Europe. A whole bunch of different fellows that he does, but noting how in Islam historically it hasn't been argument that wins; it's been the sword, right? It's part of their symbol, right?
It's their
A scimitar,
iconography, yeah.
right? It's their iconography, and yet what God has given to His church is word.
Yep.
Speak, persuade. We implore you, be reconciled to God.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we're not sabering you until you be reconciled to
Right.
God. We are imploring you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it just seems like God is doing something just now, and waking us up to actually do this.
It's interesting to me that you become, eventually you become more consistent with your espoused beliefs.
Right?
And the church, because we believe in Jesus, the Word, and like you said, we persuade. Paul describes us as being ambassadors for Christ. An
Yes.
ambassador speaks, right?
Yeah.
We become, eventually...
We proclaim.
we proclaim the good news. Eventually, we become like what we really are, or what we really believe. And so, Christians, we begin to speak. We open our mouths. The Muslims eventually become violent, right? The Marxists, the left, they tend towards that same violence. They do the same thing.
Right.
You become like what you worship.
Charlie Kirk.
Charlie Kirk's a great example of that, right?
Right.
The guy didn't show up to have an argument. He showed up with a rifle.
Yeah.
And that's not a very good argument. And really, he lost the argument because it's not that he silenced the one man, but now thousands of men
Yep.
that previously did not speak do. And so, that didn't work. And it didn't work for eternal and spiritual and biblical principles, right? You chop off. I sometimes what's that creature in Greek mythology with the multiple heads?
Hydra.
Hydra. Yes, we are like the holy version of that. So, but you become
Holy Hydra Batman.
Holy Hydra Batman. Yeah. You watched that show in the 60s, did you? Yeah. How do we know Batman lost the argument with Yeah, he's wearing underwear on the outside. But but we become more like what we worship.
Right.
In time, we become more consistent with our true first principles.
Yes.
And this is why faithful Bible-believing Christians will always default back to speech and convince, argue, reason, plead, implore,
Preach.
Amen.
And then praying is also speech. We're talking to God,
Yep.
asking Him to do the thing that we clearly can't do. And then He's like, "Oh, let me mess up your hair a little bit." Well, not yours, Jay. You don't have much. So for the audio, you can't see that he's follically challenged, but
Follically blessed.
Not
blessed.
the beard.
Yeah, no, the beard is magnificent. But he messes up our hair. He does something weird, but then he acts. He does more and greater than what we thought we were asking for. The answer to prayer was more than. Mm-hmm. But the prayer was speech. Mm-hmm. So,
what other thoughts do you have on Alberta Reformer that we haven't asked you about?
Well, yes, we talked about like the journal a lot, and that's the thought piece. I think we had 14,000 visitors to our online journal last year.
Wow.
Nice.
But then the action piece is also, so I mentioned Edmonton Christian Schools, so now 9 out of 9 board members at the Edmonton Society for Christian Education are Bible-believing Christians. But then we also, like a week after our launch in September, this is incredible, we had the invitation to go out to Canmore to meet with the federal Conservative caucus of Alberta MPs.
Oh, wow.
So that like Arnold Viersen was there, and then your guys' MP, Chris Workington, was there. And speaking in a round table for child and family policy. And so we were able to work together with the friends at ARPA, and because it's not like we had just launched, we haven't been developing lots of policy work.
Right.
So we were able to work with them and able to kind of help speak to some of the key policy issues related to family from a biblical perspective that we wanted to recommend they focus on. And then also at the United Conservative Party AGM, we were able to have a table there. There's about 4,000 delegates at the AGM, and a good number of them came down the exhibitor aisle, and we were able to work together with the Wilberforce Project and collect 300 signatures to end late-term abortion. And so that was a blessing. And then also we partnered, I think, did you have Michael Clark on the podcast?
We did.
Yes, we did.
Okay, yeah, so we were able to partner
Yeah.
together last summer with the municipal rallies. We didn't make it up to Grand Prairie, but for most of the ones around Calgary, Edmonton, and in southern Alberta. And so I spoke at 6 different stops with Michael, and I also helped with kind of logistics and organizing and getting people involved. Mm-hmm. And so through that we saw, I believe it was 75. I have it written down here. Yeah, we saw 75 candidates run, and then 13 were elected across the province. Christian candidates running for school board, council, mayor.
Right.
And so that's just been a blessing. And so then kind of each level, so institutional with Edmonton Christian Schools, the municipal with Michael there, and then the provincial at the United Conservative Party AGM, and then federally with talking to our provincial MPs, conservative MPs. And that was like God's grace. Like we did not have that on the radar, that we'd be able to have influence kind of at every level already just in 2025. Because we started the journal just over a year ago, January of 2025, and then our official launch was last September, so like 6 months ago. And the Lord just opened doors already.
Wow.
And so we're excited to see what God does in the weeks, months, years ahead.
Yeah, you guys started while the fires were hot. So
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of you started at a great time. So
Yeah, and that's God's grace.
Hit the ground running. So you said out of 75 municipal political candidates, how many?
13.
13. Okay,
13.
So that's
none of those 13
Which, if you
were
know
in
political
Grand Prairie.
numbers,
that's a lot.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Which is too bad because Grand Prairie is a very apathetic voter population.
Yeah.
So this is a reminder to Grand Prairie as well. Tap into Alberta Reformer resources and get active.
Oh yeah. Okay, so 13 out of 75. That's 1 in 8 roughly.
Yeah.
But when you look at what you were just saying, Nathan, what was the municipal percentage in our last election here in Grand Prairie? Do you remember the turnout number?
13%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1-3.
It was awful.
1-3.
The max in Alberta was 25%, which is
I
still
think
better.
so. Yeah.
Right.
Which is
Yeah.
why it's a huge opportunity
It
for
is.
Christians to get involved.
If the Christian population all got involved in a municipal election,
It would be a landslide.
it'd be a landslide.
So here's the funny thing about numbers. If the numbers are small, small numbers make for large percentages. I mean, in Grand Prairie, if you got 13% voter turnout, so you got about 60,000 people, so probably about 30,000 voters. So 10% of 30,000, 3,000. Show up with. You don't need much. 3,000 people, 4,000 people actually showed up to vote. So if you've got, 7, 8 candidates that you need, you show up with 50, I'd say 250 people, 300 people, you should be able to push at least one person over the line.
Yeah, it's super attainable.
Yeah.
Super attainable.
It just needs organization.
Yeah, organization and also the vision for it, right? So Christians in Alberta have been waking up to the need to be engaged and be involved, but there's still a lot that need to wake up, and then know how to get involved. So they're not just jumping on kind of whatever bandwagon is happening politically.
Right.
And it's really easy as Christians getting involved. We can kind of be naive as we first get into the ring, and so it's really easy then to get sucked into some political movement because you don't know who the players are, what's going on.
Yeah.
And so that's where connecting with an organization like Alberta Reformer, we can help kind of steer you.
Yeah, watch out for this, watch out for that.
Yeah, exactly. And so you can go to albertareformer.ca and then sign up on the website. And as especially if you give us your postal code, you don't have to give us, you don't have to bring us right to your door. But if you give us your postal code, then if there's ever an initiative in your area, then we can help get you involved, help you know how you can engage and seek the common good of the community. God's place.
That's excellent. That is a good resource. Because I know that most of the people in my circles have no idea how to get involved, and if they did get involved, they would probably only be involved for one election cycle because the ground seems to be shifting under them. They don't know where they are.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden they're like, well, I lost. Well, that was a big waste of time and effort. It's like, whoa.
Yeah. There was a question raised at that meeting the other night. I think Jesse Panner raised it. That there's an advantage that the leftist has politically in terms of the amount of time he can spend on it.
Yeah, that was really well.
Because the person who's got their head on straight and they're developing a family and they've got kids and they're busy. They're busy folk.
Yep.
Whereas if you're single and you've got all the time in the world and you're not promoting kids, you're trying to squash
Children. Yeah.
children.
Or take advantage of everybody else's kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So there's a natural bent toward political. It's easier for a leftist to do politics than it is for a right person to do politics.
And I
It's
think
easier.
I think his question was great, but I think that the obvious answer is that young Christian men who are not yet married need to be politically active.
Yeah.
Because you have time, son.
Yeah.
Put down the video game controller, go outside,
Yeah.
be active in the public sphere, be a public Christian.
You're going to be a lot more busy in 2 or 3 years when
Yeah.
you get married.
Once you have a wife and children, you are going to be fantastically busy. And the other thing, too, is that you can always trust a busy man to get things done. Because he knows this is what I need to do in order to prioritize my time properly to get done what I need to get done so I can get done what I next need to get done.
And plus for the single man too, like there's an attraction level for a man who's working and then active in politics and active in the church, right?
Yeah, dude, man, you'll have a wife in 3 weeks, no problem. But it's not a guarantee, but it's a principle of action. You know?
It is a principle of action. Yeah.
So but this is something we need to be pushing our young men into, and not drawing them into. I should say, not pushing. You want to
Depends on the young man.
Yeah, some young men need a kick in the head, and some need to be just gently drawn. But at the town hall meeting last night, I had my children there. When I was 10 years old, which is the age of my oldest son, there is no one in my community that would have thought to have gone to a political event let alone organize one, let alone bring my kids to it. Mm-hmm. So I want my son to see that. I want both my sons, I want my daughters to see this so that they catch the vision. This is what public Christianity can look like.
Yeah, exactly.
And so when my sons are 18, 19, I kick them out of the house, they've got their own thing going, they're not yet married. Well, the expectation is that you will be a public Christian.
Yeah, absolutely. And part of that, just showing the attainability of that vision. Mm-hmm. Not every Christian in Alberta, this would be wrong, this would be neglect for every Christian to be as involved in politics as like my brother-in-law Josh Seneca is. Right, that's his vocation. Yeah. It'd be wrong, I'd say it'd be skewed for every pastor to be as involved in public theology and cultural reform as I am. Like for Nathan to be as involved as I am right now would be skewed. But for the average Christian to cultivate this vision for our Christian life and the way we live as citizens in our communities, even in exile, as Peter says, following kind of the patterns of Jeremiah, where they're actually called to seek the welfare of the community to which they've been sent into exile, right? And that doesn't have to be all of your life. You can treat politics. On the Christian Municipal Rally, John Hobb was often saying this at stops, that treat it like a hobby. Like if you're just getting started in politics, like take out a membership in whatever political party best represents your views. Go to the AGM. That's once a year, 1 week in a year. You bring your kids. Come stop by the Alberta Reformer booth. And, depending on the party you're in, you may have a harder time finding us. But
it's hard to get into the NDP convention. Yeah.
And then when the elections come by, like vote. And then from there, if you have more time, especially if you say you're a mom homeschooling your kids, and you have a Christian candidate running in your neighborhood, go out and bring the kids and go for a walk and go door knocking, talking with some of your neighbors. It's a good way to meet the neighbors. Lord willing, you'll already know them by then. But there's these small kind of attainable steps. Like you don't have to be all out, right? And if you want to be all out, well then talk to us too, because there's lots of work to do. But that's just having that vision where this is just a part of our life. Going to the town halls, being involved in your community, being a public Christian. This is just part of how you live.
It's how you breathe.
I think it's healthy.
Yeah. No, I like scrutineering.
Yeah.
So on election day, I get to sit in the election booth or hall, and basically, when it's time for the count, I'm there to make sure nobody's cheating, and it's great fun. Mm-hmm. And if you bring donuts and coffee, like the deputy returning officer is your best friend. I'm just saying. Always, if you bring donuts and coffee, like everybody's happy with you, because these poor ladies, these volunteers, are sitting at that desk for 12 hours. And then they have to do counting.
Bringing donuts and coffee is a good idea anywhere.
Yeah.
So
yeah, sorry, I neglected that this morning.
That was not a rebuke.
So, are you driving when you go home? Are you heading straight south, or are you going east towards Edmonton?
No, we're heading to Calgary.
Okay, so you're going to go down Highway 43. Okay.
No, we'll probably head over more through.
Oh, if you're going to go Highway 40, you're going to miss it. I'm just saying. If you go Highway 43 and you stop off at Crooked Creek.
Oh, yeah, you got to stop at Crooked Creek.
Yes, that's the plan.
You got to stop there.
And Trapper Gourds.
Yes.
Yes,
you do.
Both.
Those donuts?
At Crooked Creek?
At Crooked Creek.
If you get them hot off the fryer, they melt in your mouth. Oh.
Yes, if anybody wants Crooked Creek donuts, Grand Prairie is a good destination.
That's right.
Vacation.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it has been a delight to have this conversation here. Thank you so much, Jay, for coming in, and we're really glad we're able to catch you up here in Grand Prairie. It's a delight for us to be able to carry on conversations like this for your behalf, oh listener. We really do want here on the Chinook podcast, it is our deep desire to see the Lord move in Western Canada and to shake things up. We've named ourselves the Chinook Podcast because a Chinook is this warm wind that runs down the east side of the Rockies in the middle of winter and thaws out the frozen hearts of Albertans. And that's really what we're after. We want to see this happen. And so thank you again, Jay. That's it's good that you're able to come in. Mm-hmm. So we want to ask the Lord's blessing upon all of you and we hope that you have a good day.